Hello, and welcome to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway podcast. That's right. Your host and tour guide is Xcott Privette, a healer, hypnotist, and a magician. And your bus driver is Jason Gobelli, also a hypnotist, an entrepreneur, and a spiritual guide. Disclaimer, neither Jason, Scott, or any of our guests here today are licensed professional psychologists or psychiatrists. So please don't make any changes to any medication or treatments that you are currently on based on the conversation that you hear here today. Just hop on the bus and enjoy the ride. Trip with us on the Inner Revelation bus. That's right.
Welcome to the
All
Hypno
right.
Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway. Today we have a wonderful guest. We got the one and only, the tour driver. That's right, the tour guide, Xcott Privette. Scott, welcome. Today we're going down your Magical Psyche Highway.
All right. Let's try this.
It's Hypno Thoughts Week, so we're going to have the master himself, Scott Privette. So, Scott, let's start it right out. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, I don't do much. I'm retired, so I got into hypnotism a while back, and that's been my main focus for the past little while.
So, Scott, we know a little bit about you. I know quite a bit about you in the past. So, you've always been there to help people, haven't you?
Yeah, you could say that. I've worked in the medical field.
And in the medical field, you went through the services. So, what inspired you to go into the services and go into the medical field where you can help others?
Um, to go into the military was I went into the Navy, but my grandfather was Army in World War One, and got a battlefield commission. And then in World War II, he was in charge of the Battle of Maffin Bay, the entire New Guinea campaign under Douglas MacArthur. And then my father joined the Army Air Corps, and then which turned into the Air Force. And then my brother joined the Navy, and he and I used to race sailboats as kids. So we were both sailors, and we both knew that's what we wanted to do. And then now my nephew serves. So that's 5 generations of my family serving since 1916.
Well, thanks for your service, Scott. But what encouraged you to help others and go into the medical field? Where did
I just did as a kid. I just knew. I was a lifeguard when I was real little, like about 10 years old. My older brother was a lifeguard, and I used to assist him on the beach. And then they called that position a Buana. And I did that as a kid. And then I became a lifeguard. And just in the Navy, I had a choice. I really liked helping people on the beach, and the first aid side interested me. And I was just fascinated by it. So I went and I became a surgical tech in the Navy, corpsman.
nice. Well, it sounds like you were kind of born with a need to help people. Even as a kid, you wanted to be a lifeguard and help others.
Yeah, I guess so. I always liked doing magic as a kid. That was my thing. So at about 8 years old, I got into magic and mentalism kind of things back then, where naming cards and things and tricks like that my father had taught me. And I got a book for my birthday when I was 8, and that's got me on the road to magic. So I've always had a fascination with the hypnosis side, and just never took the path because I'd always been involved in being working in surgery and the entire medicine line. So I was just fascinated with hypnosis, and it's just caught me and reeled me in.
Well, is there a path, a crossover between magic and surgery?
Sure, there's always magic when it happens. You know, whether you call it luck, universal code, whatever you'd like to call it, your higher power, there's always that magic. You know, we can always bring magic to everything. The one thing is fascination to relieve tension. If you can fascinate someone, their tension goes away. So get someone to be happy and fascinated, and they'll smile and tension drains.
So, what do you call the magic, Scott?
Oh, happiness.
Happiness.
Sure. if I can make somebody else smile and be happy, that's the goal.
And so making others smile, did that come in the surgery? Did that come in the military? Did that come outside? I mean, where does that come into play? Or is that just who you are?
So it's always been a personal thing. I've always been on a path towards trying to better myself. And even though there have been bumps and valleys, peaks, all this whole long road we all go down called life, mine's been pretty active, pretty fulfilling. And so this hypnosis side and this type of helping people from more of a mental aspect of it versus a physical aspect of it is a whole new challenge. So that's the way it's going for now.
So, Scott, you've had plenty of mentors. You've had mentors, in the military career, mentors in the medical field, mentors in the magical area, and mentors in the hypnosis arena. I mean, tell us about who some of these people are in each of those areas and how they kind of mesh together to make you who you are.
Oh, wow. When I got out of the Navy, I wanted to be a surgical tech because that's what I had done. And I didn't really know much about it because I didn't get to do much as a surgical tech in the Navy. Even though I was assigned with one, I got attached to a Marine Corps unit, and I didn't do much in the OR in the military. So when I got out, that's what I started practicing. Is I found this nice small surgery center and got a job, and did real small cases and got comfortable, and then traveled. Went to bigger places, went to bigger hospitals, and then once I got comfortable doing that, I decided to find out who were the pioneers in surgery and go to their teaching institutions. So I did, I went to Tulane University, Tulane Medical School, learned under a Dr. Charles Whitecloud doing spinal fixation surgery. He was the pioneer of a Texas Scottish Rites Hospital. A very intelligent man, taught me one very valuable lesson. When your client presents to you and they have a fork stuck in their forehead, don't assume that that's what they're there to see you about. So that was a very valuable lesson I took forward from there.
So tell us about some of your other mentors, Scott.
Other hospitals I worked at, I went to Seattle Children's Hospital and studied pediatric reconstructive urology under a Dr. Mike Mitchell. And he was also one of those people that just gave wisdom out as he performed surgery, and did a lot of orthopedic pediatric surgery with reconstruction of club feet with Dr. Vince Mosca. And there was a lot. In orthopedics, I studied under a Dr. Dean Cole doing acetabular reconstruction when I was in orthopedics in Orlando Regional Medical Center. And then I just became a traveler. And what a traveler is someone that can go to different hospitals and sign a contract for 3 months, and you come in and you fill the need when somebody, let's say they're getting ready to hire someone, but they don't have one, or someone went on maternity leave and they need somebody to fill in for a few months. They might need someone to fill in during the busy time of season, like during the holidays when people go on vacation, or the summer when people go on vacation. And medical professionals come in and fill those needs temporarily at a hospital. So you have to be find a company or 5 or 6 and find an agent, and then you get your agent to place you wherever you want to go. That's how it works. And then you travel, you do 3-month contracts, and if you like where you are and they like you, you can stay. I stayed at some hospitals. The longest I stayed was 3.5 years at one hospital. That was in Jensen Beach, Florida, Port St. Lucie Medical Center. And then a couple places I stayed a couple years. And then I did different things. I went into cardiology after a while and became a registered cardiac invasive specialist. And I was a first assistant for a while in surgery. So I traveled as a first assistant in surgery and just went in and assisted surgeons. So yeah, I've done a lot in surgery, that aspect of it. And it's all just it's coming full circle because there was one time that I needed wrist surgery, and I had done some pretty intense work on myself and self meditation, and I decided that I could pretty much do self meditation and work my way through this surgery because I was going to have a blood pressure cuff on, and the blood pressure cuff was tight and it makes your arm go numb. And I figured with the numbness, I can deal with anything. And a 2 hour surgery it was supposed to be, and it was not bad, but it lasted 4.5 hours. And then that got to be, started to get intense, but it was over. So yeah, but I got through it. So that's when I knew that your mind could overcome amazing things. I had read an article about doing that and prepared myself mentally and physically for it and just did it.
So no anesthesia at all.
None, not even. They started an IV of saline, and I had the IV, and there was nothing given except saline the entire time. And they did a what they call it. I had a TFCC tear, which was a triangular fibrocartilage complex, which holds all the bones in your wrist together. And I had torn that. A patient fell off the table, and I grabbed the patient. And on the way down, trying to save the patient, my wrist popped. I twisted it the wrong way, and she was pretty big. And it tore my triangular TFCC. And yeah, so it was a pretty intensive surgery. They put an anchor in, and they do all sorts of things. So but yeah, it's possible. Afterwards? No, it didn't bother me. It really didn't. I mean, it ached, but when I was in the Marine Corps, I had aches and pains that were way worse than that before. So, and broken bones hurt, but they don't hurt for long.
So Scott, so all these things you talked about some of your mentors in the medical field. What about mentors, with the hypnosis or mentors in the service?
Wow. So mentors in hypnosis, the biggest one I think would be Mike Mandel from the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy. He and Chris Thompson have such a great program which teaches you the fundamentals and the principles of hypnosis instead of giving you scripts to read, which is just, he doesn't just teach you the basic how to hypnotize someone. He teaches you the how, whys, the fundamentals, the principles of hypnosis. And if you want to go as deep as you want to go, he'll take you there. So he's amazing. His whole program and the staff, everyone's just amazing.
And that said, throughout your whole life, intertwined through everything, since you were a little kid, through the military, through the medical field, and through hypnosis, there's always been magic. So who were your mentors in magic, and where does that come from?
Oh, wow. There have been so many mentors because I can't even begin to name them all. There's just so many people that have influenced the things that I do because I learned, I had Tarbell books, which are basic books to learn when I was a kid. So you learn principles and techniques and sleight of hand and how to make sponge balls disappear and appear and how to cut rope and do all sorts of tricks like that. And that's the basic magic back, 50 years ago. So that's the kind of magic I started with. And then when I got to be an adult, I was doing one of the traveling things, working in Lake Havasu, and went to Vegas and went to a magic shop. And I had seen David Blaine on the street, and he had a video out, which is on VHS tape. That'll tell you how long ago it was. And a friend of mine and I went into this magic shop and gave him the VHS tape and said, we want to learn everything on that videotape. Can you teach us? And he's like, sure. It's just going to cost you. So, and it took us a long time. We went back and forth to Vegas from Lake Havasu every weekend for 6 months. and we would go and learn at the magic shop on Friday night. We'd go and purchase something or learn how to do a trick, and then Saturday we'd practice it on each other. And then when we figured it out, we would go out and we'd practice on the strip in front of people, usually standing out in front of Caesars or wherever we wouldn't get run off from, and showing people cool. Hey, you want to see something cool? Magic tricks. So coming back to Vegas for Hypno Thoughts, yeah, this is going to be fun.
Nice. Nice. So you said earlier that the whole thing is you like to have people smile and relieve their intentions and anxieties through the magic. So the magic has multiple uses then, doesn't it?
Sure. I was in the Navy in the Philippines, didn't speak the language, and we were going through giving humanitarian shots to the kids in the villages that you couldn't get to. There aren't any roads to these villages, and so the Navy sends expeditionary units in to go give vaccinations to these far off villages. And they just start at one end and they work their way through the Philippines and all the different islands, and they just, just a vaccination. This is back in the mid 80s, late 80s. And so we would go through, and I wouldn't speak the language, but making a coin disappear or doing a card trick for someone immediately just puts them at ease. They smile, the tension goes away. You don't have to speak the language to get your point across that you don't mean them any harm. And they're fascinated. Like I said, if you give someone that fascination and make them smile, all the tension just drains away.
So then would you say that magic is your love language?
Sure. I don't know if I'd say that's my love language. I would say that it's definitely a part of who I am, because I like that mystique about it. I like the fascination of trying to figure out things. Just even when I see the magic trick, that's the fascination. I see a magic trick that just blows my mind, and I got to know how it's done. But if I'm blown away by it, I don't do anything that people aren't blown away by. I make sure I'm blown away first.
Well, speaking of the fascination and knowing how it's done, do you think he could fool Penn and Teller?
I don't think anything I do would fool them. That would be fun.
Nice, nice. Okay,
Maybe you and I'll come up with something.
so now let's switch gears a little bit here, Scott, for our viewers. So what happened? What inspired you to be the tour guide and have me as the bus driver and get this thing rolling in the first place?
I got fascinated with hypnosis and the power it has, the healing that it can do. Just totally, completely fascinated. We interview everybody every week. Every person that we've interviewed is just totally, completely fascinating because they help people by talking to them, and they do more for people than I can honestly say the VA has assigned psychiatrists to speak with and things like that, and counselors over the years. And I don't think in the time that I've been out of the military, which has been a long time, I really don't think that I've had anything have an impact on me, anything more than hypnosis has, and the power of hypnosis. It's totally fascinating.
And so, do you bring your hypnosis into your magic or vice versa?
Not yet, but I'm working on
So that's the plan. So,
it.
so Scott,
Part of it, yeah.
so since that's the plan, let's hit you with one of the questions you asked many of our viewers. 10 years from now, where are you going to be? What would you say to yourself?
I would say it's nice being retired this time for good. Stay that way. I plan on being nice and retired in 10 years, sitting someplace, watching my daughter's law practice flourish.
Yet you're retired now, and even being retired, we have this podcast going on, and I happen to know that you do several magic shows all over the place, and you hypnotize people at different times throughout the day.
Yeah,
So is that what
I'm bored.
is that what retirement looks like?
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like. If I can help people doing magic, then that's fun. If I can help people by helping them overcome being scared to walk on stage or give a speech or stop smoking or lose or gain weight, then hey, I've got more tools. I add it into the box of things that you can do for people that are good versus the other.
Well, Scott, that's an interesting box you had. And speaking of that box and the things that you're adding to that box, it seems like you're going to have to expand that box pretty soon. I know that this is going to be aired during the first day of Hypnothoughts, and you plan to be the street reporter out there this year, don't you?
Heck yeah. Well, let's go talk to everyone. We're going to go do some street hypnosis with Rich, Goozy. We're going to go listen to some other people, but there's a night we're going to go out and do street hypnosis, and magic falls into the people that are standing around while they're waiting for doing hypnosis, or the other people. If I can't hypnotize somebody, I'll do a magic trick. So
Well,
either way.
that magic trick might cause trance in itself.
You just never know what I got up my sleeve, do you?
And so, Scott, what are you looking forward to now with everything that you got going on? What are you looking forward to most?
That is a great question. In the short term, I'm looking forward to meeting all these people that we've interviewed. That is what I think my biggest thrill is we've interviewed some of the most wonderful people, and getting to actually meet them in person and see them. I think that's my short-term goal. Long-term goal, just continue down the road to self-improvement. If I can make me better and then I can help other people, then maybe we can leave this world a better place.
Nice. Nice. So once again, it comes back to putting that smile on people's face, huh?
Pretty much. That's the basic formula.
Nice. Nice. So, Scott, what do you do, or who do you have in your life that's real important to you? That's things that really stand out in your priorities.
My mother. My mother was an educator. She started out, she was always, everything she did was pretty much turned to gold. Everything she touched, she put 100% into. And she set the bar. And I think my father was also, he was in the business side of things and in law enforcement, and then had other businesses. And he did 20 years in the military, and then 21 years with the sheriff's department, and then retired with a couple other of his businesses that he had started. So he set the bar quite high as well. So I'm just looking to make the world a better place like they did.
Well, it sounds like your parents are great mentors then.
They are.
Nice. Nice. And Scott, what do you plan to leave when you go? Is there anything else you want to do? Is there any message, your words of wisdom? What words of wisdom do you have for our viewers?
I don't know. On my Facebook page today at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I posted something that was really important to me, because this violence that our country's come to is it's uncalled for. We're more civilized than that. We can't treat each other like that. We're Americans. We don't need to be Black Americans, white Americans, Hispanic Americans, Latino Americans, French Americans, Polish Americans, Italian Americans, whatever. We don't need any of that. We just need to be Americans. Yes, we're all from different backgrounds. But look, we all have different backgrounds. We all have different jobs. None of us was raised exactly the same. So we're all a melting pot, and we've got to get along. We don't need to pass this along, this type violence and this type solution to what you think your solution is, where somebody can just shoot another human being and assassinate them. Our country's been through enough of that through its bringing up through this, all the ages, the decades that this country's been around. Every decade's got some type violence of some sort. It's just disgusting, and we don't need it. We need to be bigger. We need to be better, and we need to pass on to our kids something that they can be proud of in this country, and pass it on to the world instead of garbage like happened yesterday.
And so do you feel like your magic, making the smile, is in a way creating a better world?
I do. If it just makes one person's world better, one person at a time.
And when you feel it makes another person's better, when you see a change happening in other people, what does that do for you inside? And how does that make you feel?
And it makes me grow as a person, because if you can create that type change in someone, then that is a reflection of you, isn't it?
Nice. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So what we see outside is merely just a reflection of what we are inside, correct? Is that what I'm getting from
To an
you?
extent, yeah. To an extent, yeah.
Okay, nice, nice. So if you could do one magic trick for our viewers, where would you stun and amaze all our viewers of our podcast? What would you do, Scott, to just get us what we need to do to put that smile on our viewers' faces right now?
I do not have anything that I can do online. This is not an I like to amaze. This is a magic trick that I do. For instance, I'll tell you about a magic trick that I do, and that's because I don't do things online.
Well,
However,
maybe the
I
magic.
will bring I make it as bright as possible. I want the lights bright. I'd rather be in the most brightest fluorescent light possible, so you can circle me and get close. So I will do it either in your hands or within a foot of you, so you know that this is happening. So I tell people what's going to happen before it happens. I'm a totally different magician. So I let you know what to look for before it happens. So that way you know what to expect. So when it happens, now you're even more dumbfounded by why I told you what was going to happen. So I explain what's going on during the entire magic trick until it's completed, all the way to the last step. And the very last step is always the smile.
Nice. And so maybe telling that story is magic in itself.
I think it's better than the magic trick.
Nice. Scott, do you have anything else you want to add?
Man, I really, really want to thank all the people that listen, all of our listeners. And I would like to thank all of our interviewees that we've interviewed. And I just look forward to continuing this on with you. And I think we're making a big difference, informing people and letting people know how to help others.
That's right. Man, it's been wonderful traveling down your magical psychic highway today. This has been fun putting you on the hot seat for a change. So I definitely enjoy that. And thank you for sharing you with us. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason, for being my podcast partner.
There you go, partner. You got it. Okay, so I guess that's it. Shall we wrap it up?
Sure.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for watching us. We're glad you're here. If you'd like us, give us a thumbs up. If you think we're assholes, give us a thumbs down. We don't care. We're just glad you're here. We hope you come back next week. Share it, follow us, and comment. Glad that you're here. Thanks for coming. See you next week.
Wow, what a trip. Thanks for taking that journey with us today. Please like us, share us, and enlighten us with your views of the topics we drove into today. We appreciate you and love reading your comments. Thanks again, and we hope to see you back on the bus next week. That's right.